Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. BlueDragonFive here, and tonight we're talking a little Star Wars for May the 4th. Well, I know it's not May the 4th quite yet, but we're so eager. Forgive us for being a little overeager about Star Wars, especially after some recent Star Wars celebration-y stuff. But yeah, it's kind of a part one of two things we're kind of going over to commemorate two fan films to commemorate May the 4th, which is forthcoming. We want to make sure we're not going to be late on it, so we're going to have a little smidgen early. But this one, folks, believe it or not, this one's really special. This one we're starting off with here is really special. It's a little something called Darth Vader versus Buzz Lightyear. It's generously provided by Nukazuka, the YouTube channel. These guys do really remarkable work. They essentially do for the most part. The best way I could describe these guys, they do a lot of kind of off the page to screen recreations. Like I've seen them do a few Dragon Ball related things, but again, I kind of this was brought to my attention a couple of years ago. Maybe it was either last year or the year before. But Tiki, let's get your thoughts on this: Darth Vader versus Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, Dragon, this, I mean, it's about as good. Okay, Dragon, I actually have a really good analogy for this one, all right? Of course, we're all about 90s nostalgia these days, and of course, Toy Story being a big part of that. Dragon, coincidentally enough, I'm a big defender of the Star Wars special editions, not the actual content of the special editions, but just the fact that they exist because they were the gateway for me to see Star Wars on the big screen as a kid, and I will always cherish that. My point being, Dragon, you know what else I'm nostalgic for? Is I'm nostalgic for kind of like the pre-internet days, like the days the days in elementary school for us 90s kids, where we would like sit around the playground and talk. And Dragon, do you remember a point in time where you I'm sorry, I'm getting really nostalgic and wistful here, folks, but this short will do that to you. Do you remember a point in time where essentially talking about a movie, and granted, this is basically what we do now anyways, it's pretty much what our endgame spoiler cast was, but essentially talking about a movie kind of boiled down to like, oh my god, you remember that part, and that part was really cool, and and yeah, that part. It essentially come down to like just frantically reciting your favorite moments from said film. Dragon, did you ever have that like when you were in grade school? Those sorts of film conversations?
Something kind of like that, yeah.
Like it wasn't deep enough to be like a podcast conversation by any means, but it was just kind of like an excited like, yeah, I remember that and I remember that. So Dragon, my point being, this is kind of like that same feeling I got watching this. I mean, this is like, this short isn't like really trying to say anything deep. It's not trying to be like oh yes, this is what Dragon. We just recently, of course, talked about the short Becoming. Now that short is definitely something where it's like, okay, let's sit down and analyze the fine art of this thing. Let's dive deep into what the filmmakers were intending with this. Dragon, Darth Vader versus Buzz Lightyear, to use an analogy that you really like that my bookstore manager coined. It's a candy bar for the brain in the best of ways. I mean, it's really just it's pure fun, Dragon. That's what it is. And this thing is it's filled with those kind of like schoolyard, like, oh my god, remember this and remember that, and remember when Buzz Lightyear used his laser, and remember when Darth Vader cut off his arm, but then he attached it right back. Like, that's what this is, Dragon. It's kind of just an awesome sort of like, water cooler. Like, if we saw this on the playground as kids, our minds would have been blown. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I really appreciate it for it. Like, I'm very impressed with it on a technical level for sure. And it's definitely a loving homage. Of course, I think the ending is the closest thing we get to like, oh, what does this mean? Let's interpret it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a nice, very, very fun, incredibly well done sort of piece of like, fan crossover action. And it's really, I just enjoyed it a lot, Dragon. I don't know. Kind of long-winded answer there, but that's what I got.
Well, let me put it to you this way. So this thing really jumps out to me. It's something to me. It's really special because I'm an advocate of fan films. I love a good fan when they're done
Well,
right.
yeah,
And
and
they're
of
done.
course I feel like we've hit kind of a niche with the fan film stuff, Dragon, with the Just Giglet crowd, of course, with Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. We covered that. That kind of gave us a whole new audience, and the Just Giglet grab bag being one of our more popular weekly podcasts that we do now. So yeah, and of course the stuff that we've done with Super Academy as well, and we've covered a variety of other fan films. Like I said, May the 4th is kind of like a we don't always do fan films on May the 4th, Dragon, but we've done it a number of times for Star Wars. And I think this might be the best Star Wars fan film we've ever covered.
Well, this is definitely again. This to me is the most personal for me because obviously
yeah.
the Toy Story connection. So I don't know if it's me again. I think it's one of the most well produced I've seen, but again, it's well produced in a way. Again, I can't really say it's the best Star Wars fan film, but I can say that it's the most unique Star Wars fan film ever. Like, I've never seen anything like this ever in any. And I bear in mind I haven't seen every single Star Wars fan film, but I have seen a number of them. And
Yeah, keep in mind we've covered like a very, 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 very small selection of Star Wars fan films compared to what's out there. So I'm not saying definitively like this is number one, because I'm sure there's Star Wars fan films out there that just would blow our mind.
Absolutely.
Granted.
Precisely. And again, like something that this has the honor of that I've never seen done properly is like this is the first time I've seen kind of Buzz Lightyear realized in proper live action in kind of a fan film capacity. I've seen people do recreations. Like I've seen like the live action recreations of Toy Story, which are neat. Don't get me wrong, I love those things. But where they basically use the 2009 model of the Toy Story figures, basically the certified collection line. They use like the most screen accurate toys they produce for Toy Story, and then recreate the moments from the movie, like shot for shot. So they literally recreate all of Toy Story and a little. Toy Story 2 is obviously a lot more difficult. You have the pizza plant truck sequence in the airport and everything. So you don't see a lot of Toy Story 2, but mainly Toy Story 1. Point being, I've seen a lot of those, and I've seen a little bit like that. I think the closest thing I've seen beyond that has been like a fan film where it's like we see it from kind of the college, basically kind of the college send-off scene where it's like Andy choosing between Buzz and Woody. Like seen something kind of homaging that to a capacity. But again, usually one live actor and using the physical toys, but never have I ever seen again Buzz Lightyear realized in live action. Because I remember, Teague, I'm just going to show you, I'm going to go deep here on two levels. One, I'm going to go deep in the level of, I remember like way back when I've seen like people do like these fan posters, like these fan images, like if Buzz Lightyear were made into a live action movie, and you have like a guy in a suit, and they kind of make the Space Ranger suit, they somehow render in CG, and they make it look, it looks pretty neat. But again, it's like, yeah, it would obviously be a horrible, well, it wouldn't be, I mean, it'd be an idea that I never imagined happening. But again, like, of course, Buzz Lightyear, the fictional property being adapted, it could always work. So I can't say it would be a bad idea, but you know what I mean? Because of course, all the Buzz Lightyear Star Command love I have in my heart. But regardless, the point is like something you never think would happen, you never really picture, and be kind of hard to realize. But it's like, you entertain the thought though, and anyway, so I saw this, and of course, seeing this realized so faithfully and so well, and of course, kind of the twist at the end is just that's what makes my heart sing. Like, oh my God, there's something really special about this. And I think overall what this is doing, this feels like the best comparison I can have for what kind of fan film this is. It's very much kind of like Bat in the Sun. Now, Bat in the Sun is a YouTube channel that does kind of like they it's very much kind of from the fans. They pit, it's kind of a versus pitting together. It's not Screw Attack per se, but it's sort of like the fans get to vote on who wins those fights. It's like they have like comic book characters. Like you have like Batman versus Deadpool, or you have like, I believe I showed you that one. There's Batman versus Deadpool. There's Joker versus. I'm sorry, I'm just going to the Deadpool examples right now, but there are others. There's like Captain America versus Master Chief. There's like a whole slew of kind of matchups. Winter Soldier versus Nightwing. Point being, they kind of have these, and it kind of harkens back to like those playground days you're referring to, Tika. Those old days where it's like, I think fan culture's kind of evolved, but there's still some remnants, some nostalgic remnants of who would win in a fight, this guy or this guy.
Oh yeah,
who would win in a fight. And I think this is a classy way it's kind of a classy throwback to that. And I'm not saying like it's completely snuffed out, but again, like now we kind of bring it up a little bit after the fact because we're talking about so many other things with the things we love, and we're the crossover again because we've been blessed with stuff like the MCU and I guess all the Star Wars spinoffs and everything, and vice versa. We've been blessed with all these expansive universes and like all that sort of stuff that crossover appeal is something we kind of we don't talk of we don't talk about as much because we're blessed with crossovers galore. So I think it's kind of what's fueling the fire here. So again, so right off the bat, so Nukazuka just again top notch work. Just wanted to shout that out to you guys if somehow you kind of come across this. So just saying like top notch. You really hit me in the feels with a lot of this. And I guess all that said, I mean they really these guys they make things on a budget and it shows, but it shows in a really like they have. I love what they do. There's obviously a budget in play here, but it almost doesn't show because they're so inventive with the effects and so kind of slavish with the details and getting things just right. It's something really to applaud. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot, Dragon. There's one other point I was going to make, piggybacking off of you, but oh yeah, with Buzz Lightyear. So Dragon, it's interesting that you bring up live action Buzz Lightyear because I feel like for years the gag has been like, wouldn't a live action Toy Story movie be absurd? Like, wouldn't telling Toy Story in live action be completely absurd? And folks, I'm convinced you can remake almost any other Pixar movie in live action and it'd be okay. But I'm convinced, folks, the second that we see a live-action Toy Story remake, Disney's lost their minds. Like that's something they can't go back from. That's like that's a bridge too far. Wouldn't you agree, Dragon?
I would very much agree. Yes.
Like I said, like practically, if you go down the line, like maybe Finding Nemo would be weird, but practically every other Pixar movie I could kind of see sort of working in live action. Cars maybe not, but I digress. But yeah, Toy Story no. But Dragon, you raise a good point. That Buzz Lightyear as an IP, as a fictional IP that could be turned into a real IP. Suffice to say, this fan film does kind of make me wonder, like, yeah, if we saw other elements of the Buzz Lightyear mythos, maybe even adapting a Star Command, like the characters from Star Command into a live action movie. Dragon, I feel like if we did like a James Gunn, Jon Favreau, like Guardians of the Galaxy style direction with it, I think that could be fucking damn good.
Yeah, because you got to remember, I mean, Buzz Lightyear in many ways. Again, the fascinating thing is that, of course, Buzz Lightyear has a lot of things rooted in Star Wars. Because, of course, when they were creating, Toy Story, they're big Star Wars fans, of course, spinning off from Lucasfilm and such. Going into the deep history of Pixar way back to '86, if you want to be all knowledgeable and stuff. But no, but in all seriousness, though, it's Buzz Lightyear has kind of the best of both worlds. Again, the backstory is obviously influenced by Star Wars, but again, Buzz Lightyear Star Command, when they kind of flesh out the world of that show, it is kind of there's definitely a Star Trek element to it as well. So I mean, again, beyond Favreau, I mean, I can see a little bit of Abrams in there too. I'm not going to say, let's just go to JJ. I'm saying, well, you never know. I'm just saying that there's a built-in
Brad Bird would be another good pick.
Well, Brad Bird would be oh my goodness, it would be astonishing. But I take your point though. That's the fact of the matter. Again, you have like kind of the best. That was just kind of what was done back then. One of the two biggest space-related properties were that, and of course, we're in a post-Guardians age. Imagine where we could go with it if we kind of re-examined Buzz Lightyear Star Command again, because they mainly worked off a lot of like kind of Star Trek and a little bit of like because the idea they man the bridge and they have like a command post and everybody has a job. You get Buzz, Mira, Booster, and XR. That's your motley crew, and beyond that you get Commander Neb. Anyway, I'm trailing off into Buzz Lightyear Star Command, but getting back on point because again we're talking to quote Kevin Smith. One of Kevin Smith's hilarious runners from the Star Wars Celebration. It's just the funny thing about Star Wars. The idea to dig if we ever veer off, I want you to do this for our Star Wars May the 4th be with you stuff, okay?
All right.
Kevin Smith during Celebration, he started off saying, "Okay, guys, let's try to keep the topic Star Wars related to points anytime anyone would get off track." The funny thing about basically, yeah, so that's the thing about Star Wars. Just as a reminder, let's talk about Star Wars, guys.
Oh boy. And of course, Dragon, also I feel like we should kind of just before we dive into it, we should kind of it's very interesting with this May the 4th stuff because, oh boy, Dragon, it's a tough time to be a Star Wars fan right now, my friend.
How so?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I feel like, I feel like I don't know. I'm having a hard time to put it into words, but it's just like, this divide that we've had, and I'm having a hard time to put it into words just because
I think
I
what you're
know
saying
those
is it's
people.
not. We're not in kind of like the Force Awakens. Like it's nothing but love with Star Wars. Now there's a little bit.
Exactly. We're not in like the Star Wars.
Once things aren't they're not as simple as they used to be. You know, kind of like well, basically kind of Last Jedi onwards. Basically, communities have been divided, and of course, people are. Point is, Star Wars is a little bit more
And I
dicey
mean,
than it's
like,
been.
Dragon, here's the thing. It's like, again, maybe it's important to address this, as we're going into. Why does this fucking thing have to be like I'm stating a political opinion here, Dragon? I really like The Last Jedi. God damn
Look,
it.
I'm going to keep it simple, folks. Again, I like the Last Jedi, except the parts that people I think we
It's
can all
got
agree on.
problems, but in general, it's probably the most good-looking Star Wars movie. I have absolutely no qualms with any of the Luke stuff. I think the Luke stuff is fantastic.
Yeah,
I think all the Kylo stuff is really good. I mean, it's got some really killer. It's got some of the best moments in the whole saga for me. It
look, it's just
really does.
again, I think just keep it simple. I mean, Laura Dern stinks, and the casino stuff belongs in another movie. It's not bad, but belongs in another movie.
And that's what I'm saying, Dragon. It's like, again, it frustrates me to no end that literally me just being a fan of the movie is like a political opinion. It's like I'm stating like, yeah, separate the kids from the parents at the border, man. You know what I mean? It's like, no. It's like I like a movie because a movie appealed to my sensibilities. And you know what? Going into The Last Jedi, I was kind of biased anyways because Ryan Johnson's episodes of Breaking Bad are my favorite episodes of Breaking Bad. And the style that he showed in those episodes, it carried over to The Last Jedi. So what do you want from me?
All right, well,
You know what's also kind of heartbreaking, Dragon? One last point, and then we'll get into the short really quick.
I have a transition, so just tell me when you go.
Okay. So Dragon, the teaser trailer for The Rise of Skywalker. You know what moment I really loved until a certain YouTube channel went ahead and ruined it?
What?
No one's ever really gone. Dragon, I swear to God, when I first saw the trailer, I saw like, oh, that's really clever. Specifically, the thing that stood out to me was, you had the really hopeful line of Luke saying, "No one's ever really gone," and then you have the Palpatine laugh, right? And it's like, oh yeah, no one's ever really gone, but because no one's ever really gone, that means that evil's not really ever really gone either. And Dragon, I just like as a pure Star Wars fan, I love the duality of that moment. But then along comes Red Letter Media, and now no one can ever look at the sentence, no one's ever really gone the same way again. Thanks, Red Letter Media. Good job. And Dragon, I'm not saying I don't like the video. I think the video is hilarious. And I'm a big fan of when Red Letter Media puts out videos like that. Of course, we had the very famous Rogue One video that we still
It broke new ground.
He's Princess Leia's non-biological father.
ATSTs. Okay, now we're still good.
All right,
We're thinking about Star Wars.
But I don't know. My point is, man, it's like I really hope for all the best for the Rise of Skywalker, but it's just like I am just getting like people are just walking into this movie just like, nope, I hate it. I hate it, and fuck Disney Star Wars, and no, and I'm just like, dude, it's I don't know, man. It's like I said, it's literally like this fan base split is literally making it hard for me to be a fan of these dumb space movies. And Dragon, I'm sorry, that's all they are. They're dumb space movies. I don't take these movies that seriously. I never have. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy them immensely because I do. And Return of the Jedi specifically, Dragon was a big inspiration for me as as someone like looking into filmmaking. I saw that from Star Wars to Jedi documentary back when I was a kid, and it really just blew my mind. And I feel like I'm not the only person who saw those practical effects in the Star Wars documentaries and got really inspired. So Star Wars does have a special place for me, Dragon. But man, I am, and it's like it's sad because to retroactively put that against the MCU, it's like people. I like no one is saying that Endgame is a perfect movie, and some people have more problems with Endgame than others, but. Man, Dragon, if the discussion around Endgame hasn't been one of the most civil fan discussions I've seen in some time, I tell you, I don't know. Anyways, folks, we're trailing off. Let's get right into it, Dragon. How do we start things
Okay,
off?
so if I can transition, so
Yeah,
all of Tiki's points aside, the good news is that they can kind of our unifying theme for our two Star Wars movies, without saying exactly what the second one is quite yet. We have Darth Vader as kind of our connecting theme here. Of course, I think we can all, no matter what shape, what shape or form you're going to find Star Wars or this new Star Wars political climate. The good news is that all of that political climate's mainly focused to the new films, to the next generation, to the to kind of our 2015 onward crowd. Good news, Vader's OG, if you will. Use what the kids are saying these days. Vader's OG. Vader's from the old generation. Vader's, everybody loves Darth Vader. So luckily,
I mean, to me, I feel like the moment that tainted Darth Vader the most for me was the stupid no shit. But
and in all fairness, I think Rogue One really bought some points back for Vader with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The point being, Vader and Tiki, again, stuff that's definitely going to bleed into the next thing we talk about. Let me put it this way: Vader in comics, again, since the one thing that people, whether they love the film direction of Disney or not, people who are reading the now quote unquote canonized comics, which for all I don't mean that sardonically, folks. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these comics, bear in mind, I'm not keeping up with them as I was when they were first coming out, but with the exception of Vader. I gotta tell you, folks, the comics have been like worth being canonized because they've been really good and really like filling in the blanks in Star Wars. A lot of really really good, compelling stories. Kind of some basically Tiki. The best way I could put it, they're kind of Albuquerque versy and kind of like Better Call Saul, like filling in the blanks storytelling. Mainly for Vader. Vader's always been kind of that connecting where like, oh my god, we're giving all the really good stories to Vader, and that's the thing. Is Vader he's been benefiting a lot. And basically, any love that Vader's had, I think he's definitely it's just the love has never dissipated from Vader. I mean, Noah's like the thing there's taking some pot shots at him, but besides from that, it's like, I mean, there's always a love for Darth Vader against the visual, plus the compelling character drama, plus the fact that it always boils down to Obi-Wan never told you the truth about your father, did he? He told me you killed him. No, I am your father. No, that's not true. That's impossible. Okay, anyway, so
and I built C-3PO.
And the Force, it's really just midichloric. Look, if you're not going to take it seriously,
Well, now we're not going to take this seriously. I'm out.
Okay, the funny thing about Darth Vader versus Buzz Lightyear, let's talk about it now. Okay, so the point is a lot of love for Vader. Speaking of which, let's start with Darth Vader, which is how this thing started. So let's break it down. So we have Vader on, and again, this is what I'm talking about with Nukazuka really kind of using, again, they're using a limited budget to their advantage here. We're basically use kind of a field kind of landscape here, but again, we're shooting it from certain angles, so we don't allude to it just being kind of an average location. We have like this hillside that's kind of vaguely kind of mountain-esque. It's like we're just kind of on a planet here where Vader's laying waste to a couple of guys. I'm going to presume rebels, right?
I have a theory about the location and where we are and what's all going on, but we'll get into it when we get into the ending.
Sure. And basically, he's like kind of laying waste to some rebels here, it looks like, or someone.
Shit.
Right.
Drag, can you hear me? I think we're having that stupid issue that we were having.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Just keep
all right.
going. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Okay. So point being, Vader, he's laying waste to a couple of rebels here, whoever's guys firing blasters. Again, we have kind of that field the planet looking thing right now. Let's see. So then, as Vader's kind of as Vader's taking down these guys, a ship crash lands in the background. A shuttlecraft of some variety crash lands on a strange planet with no intelligent life anywhere. Well, one would say until they realize Darth Vader's on that planet. So Vader, he's kind of walking by, and we reveal in the epic shot that we have before us here, it's Buzz Lightyear's space shuttle. And I tell you, folks, I can hear you.
Oh God, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, of the shot, it's definitely very much in terms of, in terms of a live action Buzz Lightyear, it's definitely really well realized. Of course, we have a more cartoonish but very similarly realized version of this ship in Toy Story Land at Hollywood Studios, but this is very much esque interpretation of the ship, and it looks damn good, man.
Right. Yeah, it is like the one in Hollywood Studios, right?
It's a little bit. I mean, like I said, the only difference is that the one in Hollywood Studios is more like, like animation accurate. It's got like the brighter colors and everything, and this one is more kind of like a live action interpretation, whereas the one in Hollywood Studios is literally made to look like the cartoon. But other than that, it's a similar scale.
One of my Tiki, I have a really deep personal connection to the space shuttle, to the Buzz Lightyear ship specifically, because I still have literally on my shelf still. I still have way back when you can still find it, I guess, but I think it's a little bit more valuable now than it once was. They have the shuttle where you can put like a Buzz, you can put a Buzz and Woody figure in the shuttle, and it has wheels and stuff, and it shoots these little discs out. It's like, oh my God, I have that. And I love it because I've always loved the design of that ship, and of course having a functional version you can go around with. And just again, my love of vehicles, but again, I have all vehicles, but that's the only spaceship, legit kind of that's kind of the beginning of, oh my God, a spaceship is kind of the graduation from the vehicle, and it's Buzz Lightyear's ship, the one that he comes in, but it's it basically works as we see it here. Where again, so this is the more functional version of it. It's oh my God, it's that's reaching deep in my childhood. And of course, when they come out with those accurate versions of the Toy Story figures, they put Buzz in the spaceship, and in the Toy Story shorts they were doing now, for the Christmas short for the Toy Story That Time Forgot. They have Bonnie. She has this bag. It's a Buzz Lightyear bag, and you put all the toys. And it's oh my God, I want that bag so much. Yes, I love this. Yes, I'm not. I have a long love affair with the spaceship, and just seeing the shuttle crash just like this, it's wonderful. Yeah. All right. So,
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dragon. Keep going.
Yes?
Oh God.
Yes.
I want this podcast to be really good because it's it's a really good film and I want to honor it. But man, these technical issues are killing me. I'm sorry. Just if you don't hear me say anything, Dragon, just plug along, okay? Just keep going. All right.
Well, okay. Well,
I'm working through it as best I can.
Okay. Well, again, I'm just going through love fest on the spaceship here. Anything else you want to weigh in with the shuttle?
No. I'm good. I'm good. I just want to make sure we don't have any awkward pauses or anything.
All right. Okay, so Vader's we have this great shot of Vader's walking past the shuttle, and then we have this little reveal of a little laser, when we hear the iconic sound effect, the bing, 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 of the laser kind of aiming at Vader's head. The little light bulb that blinks effect.
And then this is probably the biggest parody moment right here, if you will, the biggest burst of comedy is that we see Buzz Lightyear in all his glory. He looks great. I like how he's got kind of that, that almost kind of God, how do you describe the mask that he's wearing, Dragon?
He's got the helmet on. He's got
no, I know he's got the helmet, but he's kind of wearing this
all right, the head covering, right?
Yeah, the head covering.
Basically, astronauts wear this head covering, and he has that. The only single gripe I have with this Buzz Lightyear is I think this Buzz Lightyear is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in live action. I think it's beautiful. The only issue is that no purple. It's either no purple or they lit it in a way where the purple doesn't show up, and it basically looks like it's black instead of the purple part.
I mean, my theory is that that's kind of just a choice of like I feel like the aesthetic of this is very much a realistic like how would Hollywood handle a live action remake? You know what I mean? Like I said, it's kind of the difference between the Buzz Lightyear statue that's outside in Toy Story Land or the Buzz Lightyear ship in Toy Story Land and what we get here. You know what I mean? This is kind of more granted. Like I almost dare I want to say it's almost like a Zack Snyder-esque color palette.
I take your point on that, and again, I don't disagree. But I think just they get it so right and so on the money with everything.
Right.
Where it's like,
anyways, point being, it's a glorious shot, and then we got the great line Buzz Lightyear's just like in all his earnestness, he's just like, "I've got you now, Zurg."
So of course, this is the age-old connect that, of course, you go back in Toy Story and Woody, as Buzz Lightyear's like telling the toys what he's doing there, but like Woody's like tilting his head and he's reading the box, which essentially is the plot of Star Wars. Where the evil Emperor Zurg is like he's manning this, basically manning a weapon in a space station that can blow up a planet. Essentially, talking about the Death Star can blow up Alderaan, and like I alone possess. Basically, talking about like later, of course, during the Dynaco gas station, he's with so much passion. Tim Allen is delivering this speech, saying, "And I alone possess the knowledge that can defeat it." Basically, he has like the R2D2.
He's got the Rebel spy plans.
Exactly, that's the plot. So basically, he's a one-man version of Star Wars. That's what he's doing. Yeah, okay, so R2D2 meets Luke Skywalker. That's what Buzz Lightyear is. So, and of course, so again, the origin, of course, mentions Zurg, and of course, Toy Story 2, we met Zurg, and of course, the Star Wars gags were bound there with the very famous, "No, Buzz, I am your father." And of course, they had the lighting and everything from Empire Strikes Back during the.
I gotta tell you, Dragon, I don't mean to disrespect this by any means, and I'm not, but all the Darth Vader stuff in Toy Story 2 doesn't really do it for me. It's pretty on the nose.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, though. It's like it's a really.
I know. The only thing is that like it's the only time in Toy Story beyond just the presence of the toys themselves that we've got in any kind of pop culture references, and that's why I feel like it's a little out of place.
But again, I'd argue that's the track they set up with Buzz, so I think that's why it justifies itself. So.
All right.
Anyway, so of course we have to again
a proper podcast on Toy Story 2 or 3. I'm just saying it warrants a discussion.
Okay, anyway, point being, so again, we have all this track built historically with Buzz Lightyear, and again, like the ultimate, like, "I've got you now, Zurg," and we just have like this stranger than fiction moment that in my life I never thought I'd ever see. Because again, that's the wonderful thing about this. This is a matchup you never really put together, but seeing is like, oh my god, like I gotta watch this, see what happens, and it's like just Darth Vader just like doing a double take, like looking around, like, "Who is Zurg?"
Who is Zurg?
Again, to me, this is a far better version. Nothing against this, but again, to me, it's just a far better version of what we'd have in like Night at the Museum 2 when we have Darth Vader in that one scene that was marketed way too much. We have that one scene with Vader where he's like interacting with Oscar the Grouch and all that stuff. It's like one of those stranger than fiction interactions where Vader is kind of like just like, what would Vader be like outside of the movie? We gotta have one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have.
And then that's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of like this doesn't really have that deep of a plot, really, is that Buzz, when he hears who is Zurg, he doesn't really question, like, wait, you're not Zurg? No, instead he just goes straight for the fight, man.
And again, this is a bit of diluted Buzz in play. So again, we're kind of very much kind of adapting kind of like definitely Space Ranger Buzz, but also kind of diluted Buzz from Toy Story, where again, it's just kind of that crossover appeal, and then just like, who is Zurg? Then bam, laser, like legit laser blast, like, oh my god, like laser blast and then deflection with the lightsaber.
No flashlight.
Yes. So just blast the laser at him really intensely. It's a really strong laser blast, by the way. And it gets deflected with the lightsaber, and then it gets redirected back at Buzz. He ducks. Oh my god, it's really great fighting. It's really excellent choreography throughout all of this, by the way. So then, of course, again, like as Vader would, so Buzz deflects the blast, he ducks, and then we get the force choke. So now Buzz is being force choked, and of course, one of Vader's signature moves. And how the heck is Buzz Lightyear going to get out of this? And I gotta tell you, I think I agree with where this thing ends up, but I do like that we did. Buzz can hold his own for a while here, and I do buy legit the kind of logistics of how Buzz can kind of hold his own for this this fight. And of course, if anyone has a legit problem with it, well, again,
Yeah, I mean, he holds his own, but ultimately he needs to flee, and I feel like realistically that's probably how it would go down if we're being
yeah,
all
if we're taking
semantical about it.
it's bear in mind, of course, I think the joke of
If
all
we're
this
gonna
is
do
that
like
it's
the whole like Matt Pat film theory approach to
right, or again, like the screw attack version of it.
yeah.
The point being, so we have this, he hit basically Buzz reaches for the button. Of course, again, a classic move from Buzz is him touching the laser, the button marked the laser, and then basically what he's doing here, and this is a strategic thing when fighting Darth Vader. You aim for the control panel. That's his weakness. He blasts the control panel, which again, the idea, and I've seen this in a couple in Bat in the Sun, they've had Batman versus Darth Vader, and I've kind of seen how you kind of do this sort of thing. And when they actually play out the odds on like how this fight would go, and the idea is, Vader, again, using your force abilities, using like a force choke, doing all that stuff. Again, that does require concentration. Remember, like the control panel works how Vader breathes and everything throughout the suit. So if he needs his focus to not die in that moment. So the point is like it distracts him enough to kind of loosen the force grip. And again, the force abilities are kind of detained for a moment, while again we can have a bit more of a fair fight. So again, while Vader is kind of struggling right now his control panel has been hit. You cannot defeat. And again, like then we have like Buzz Lightyear pulling a Captain America moment practically. It's Buzz Lightyear. He has a little bit of hand-to-hand fisticuffs going on here. Just landing some blows, really nice. Really nice. He ducks. He ducks and then blasts the laser. Of course. Then basically we have the.
He gets another laser blast, and but then Darth Vader, he goes for another one of his signature moves, Dragon, and a signature move that the MCU is very fond of. What does he do?
Cuts Buzz's arm off.
And then he goes like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's fine. It'll be fine. Don't compare me to Star."
He's a sickness. Anyway, so the funny thing about Star Wars,
I mean, Dragon. Ultimately, I feel like at the end of the day, that is the big takeaway moment from Ultron.
Well, for me, it's probably my favorite moment, along with a certain moment in the opening. But yeah, it's yeah.
Well, that and then also the whole like we're on a floating city and I have bow and arrows. None of this makes any sense.
Yeah, Ultron has a lot of redeeming moments.
Anyway,
so again, this is an Ultron conversation. This is a Buzz Lightyear versus Darth Vader.
I know.
Anyway, so the point being, he cuts the arm off again. Really great deflection of the laser, and he's using it against him here. He's just kind of chops Buzz's arm off, and then Buzz, basically again, it's like what Woody did to Miss. I am Mrs. Nesbit. To Mrs. Nesbit here, when basically Buzz uses the arm and hits him commando style, just like it begins to hit Vader with his severed arm. Knocks the lightsaber out of Vader's hand, and he just goes on and hits it when they reattach his arms. At this moment, when this happens, I'm thinking, okay, we're kind of doing the Toy Story thing right here, specifically the Toy Story 3 idea, where we're seeing it played out through a child's perspective, most likely. That's
exactly what it's like, a Toy Story 3 / Lego movie kind of thing. That's exactly what I read.
So again, like I'm going into this thing, okay, it's like the fictional Buzz Lightyear versus the obviously fictional Darth Vader. It's just a matchup, and then we're seeing, okay, it's a little bit more specific than that. It's a kid playing with action figures for as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so we have so again always, and again, that in itself tease like something for ages, like as a kid, like of course being obsessed with Toy Story. It's like Toy Story, and you have your own other action figures. Like God knows how many Dragon Ball Z figures when I was a kid. And it's like what if these guys met? Like what if you take the logic of Toy Story? It's like, well, again, what about the other toys? And then you get into the whole Indian in the cupboard kind of conversation, but that's not neither here nor there. Anyway, so
the mere title of that movie isn't PC anymore, Dragon.
Yeah, it's kind of strange when you look back. Well, it's Frank Oz, though. I don't know. I don't think. Anyway, yeah, you're right. I guess it isn't really PC anymore. But anyway, the point being, well, they become friends. Anyway, so. Anyway, so he reattaches his arm, and then we have basically. Vader force shoves Buzz Lightyear into I'm sorry, I remember he force.
Oh, it's not into the mountain yet. He just kind of blows Buzz Lightyear back.
Yeah, he blows him into the sky, probably, and basically
One comes later.
yeah, he blows him into the he blows him into the sky while he's in the sky, like mid fall. He then hits the jetpack, and you know me too. Like, as a kid, like when you're like reenacting Toy Story as a kid, like you're always mirroring the button push, you know, because the button push is awesome. The button push is what leads to this isn't.
I have a Buzz Lightyear action figure at my work because I work at a thrift store and I take donations. So one of those came in, and I gotta tell you, like I'm still doing that as a man who's almost 30 years old. I'm still playing with my Buzz Lightyear action figure like that.
Yep, because again, like for me, one of the great moments, you know, it's like we're going to explode, not today. Hits the button, and of course we're falling with style. You know, anyway. So Buzz again there hits the jetpack button, and of course this looks right. They got the flame right and everything, and just oh god, the rocket booster and everything. So the jetpack and the wings come out, and they're awesome. And they oh god, I can't remember if they light up or not, but if I assume they do. If they don't, it doesn't matter because it's awesome to see it, man. Again, on a budget, this looks amazing. Because again, I'll call him out right now. Is that again Vader? Again, they're kind of masking the fact that again Vader looks on the money, but again, it's not necessarily like a high quality suit. Like there's no leather on this thing at all. But again, it's covering the base.
Yeah,
it has all the things that
thing out of respect. But you're right; it's not the most professional Darth Vader suit we've ever seen.
I don't want to make it clear again. Like again, I'm not taking a shot at him here. I'm just pointing out that yes, it's not quite like 100% movie quality, but the fact matters they're hitting all their visual bases. Like everything is on that suit that's supposed to be on that suit. Just again, like not the same material, but of course they're making up for this. Like
how not as detailed as we would maybe like it to be.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not like straight from the movie, but it feels like it's from the movie, though. And again, that's impressive. That again, it does feel like this is Vader, and it feels on the money with everything else that they're doing, especially with.
Part of that is the performance, just the fact that again it's kind of like the age-old philosophy of like it doesn't matter what the suit is, it matters who's wearing the suit and how they carry themselves in the suit.
Exactly, and of course, anything else visually, what they're compensating for is all the Buzz Lightyear stuff. Again, something people haven't seen before; they're being blown away by, and I don't know how much of it's just kind of like it's compensating, or it's kind of like a bait and switch. Look at your focus; it's kind of going to stuff you've never seen before, and you're focused on the character of Vader before you're realizing, well, Vader again. It's not. It's against. Here's the thing: I know it's not off the rack, but I know it's
Vader fan film on YouTube. A million results are going to come up.
Exactly. Again, that's the point being they got it right enough, and the fact that again the character and the efforts that carries it the rest of the way. So that's the important part. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so the point is, so again, as it buzzes in he's in the sky, jetpack comes on, and we have this great surprise attack here where he says, "You cannot hide forever." Wait a minute. I'm sorry. No. I'm jumping over one of the great bits. I'm sorry. So, Buzz he flies midair and basically, Buzz he gets caught in the Force before he can fly away. We have this really great money shot of like Buzz Lightyear, again, arms spread, just kind of in the flying position, being pulled in by Vader. And this is awesome. This shows you how great Vader is. Vader's caught a second win from the control panel and everything here. So his Force powers are back, and he's retrieving his saber, walking over. He basically retrieves his saber, and this is great. I'd like to think that Buzz waits for this moment because basically he's being reeled in, and just as he gets closer and closer, Buzz waits. He kind of turns, he boosts the thrust in his jetpack, and the recoil kind of gets him away from Vader, and it says, "You cannot hide forever." And as he gets away, we reveal that Buzz actually flew around the planners, flew around the sky, basically to a degree where Vader didn't see him. And surprise attacks him, slams him right into the hillside, kind of a vague mountainside. Slams him right into the hillside. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Vader, he dusts himself off, and Buzz in the middle, he pulls a Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker move here where he tosses the rocket Vader, tosses it right at the control panel, knows the weak spot, good stuff there. Yeah. And we have this Up reference. This is hysterical. We have a hysterical reference to Up with Alpha from the dogs with the collars on.
Basically, yeah, right. I didn't even consider it was an Up reference.
It's totally an Up reference. It has to be.
I didn't even think about that.
Where basically he tosses the rock at the control panel, which he knows is his weak spot, and then we have like the Vader's voice going really high as he's delivering a very iconic Vader line here. Oh god, when he says, "You don't know the power of," then he fixes, "You don't know the power of the dark side." All right, let's see. So then we move again. So we just. Uh, really creatively. Again, we have this really great. We have just some really quality Vader using the Force creatively here. He uses the Force to lift
Mhm.
Buzz, and this is just like Rogue One stuff. That's what I was thinking of here.
And I feel like that's the force is where I'm sorry, the force is where the visual flair of Vader really comes into play. Dragon, again, it's like it's not the most the most realistic and detailed suit we've ever seen, but the force effects are really on the money.
Absolutely, and again, this is kind of dipping into the renewed love of Vader with Rogue One here, where again, it's like where the big stand of Rogue One was not necessarily the lightsaber stuff was cool, but it's more so like how he's using the Force and stuff, and
Mhm.
stuff we've never seen before. Where right now, again, what he does here, and don't get me wrong, I love Buzz Lightyear. It pains me a little bit to see him go through this, but still, it's a really great look at it. Like you're doing a drag out fight between these guys, this is how you do it. Where he lifts Buzz into the air using the Force, and he repeatedly smashes him like to the left, just smashes him into the hillside 5 times, like
On
bam,
your left.
like bam, 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 bam. And oh my goodness. So then we have this beautiful shot where Vader's walking and the cape's flowing as he walks over all confident. This is Vader with swagger, man. He walks over and he switches I love how he switches hands. I forget if he uses the force now. Basically like the lightsaber gets tossed from one hand to another. Reverse. So it's like not pointing down like in the threatening way. He just tosses it because what he's about to do here is great. He grabs Buzz's helmet. He makes him look him in the eye, and he says the line. And it's here like another moment here. We had it with kind of
To infinity
and
and
beyond.
beyond.
It's kind of a better version. Holy, don't choke on your aspirations, General.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god, it's a way better version of that, Dragon.
To infinity and beyond. And he hits.
Great. Thanks for reminding me that Rogue One had a moment that kind of did Vader dirty in the same breath.
Well, that's the thing. But it's still, it's like Vader's kind of.
Sorry, oh, don't get me started on choke on your aspirations. That was so dumb.
Importantly, though, had a really good set behind it, though.
Anyways.
Anyway, point well against Vader being a little fun, little playful. I don't know. Anyway, so Vader being a little cocky.
Don't get me wrong, it was like nowhere near as bad as the no shit, but it was still, it's like I watched that, I'm like, that's not Vader. Anyways,
well, you gotta remember, it's Vader in his casual home. He's just like, maybe
oh,
there's
God.
more. It's like this is how, essentially this is how Vader treats Jehovah's Witnesses, and
it's like Vader's it's like how Vader would treat someone on Fortnite.
Sure, if that helps. Anyway, the point is, so he hits him with the back of the lightsaber, hits the jetpack button, and Buzz like kind of essentially unconscious here. He's barely conscious. He's basically, the rocket comes on and the thrusters come on. He basically rockets off of this planet, which again, what they're doing is kind of an Endor thing. It's kind of like a green, very mountain, very kind of mountain, very kind of outdoorsy looking planet. That's how they get around with the setting and the budget of all, which and I think was a smart move. And
Dragon, there's a hill like right behind my high school that I swear to God, like countless people have used as Lord of the Rings short films in my high school film class.
Cool. So I mean,
it's very practical to go out into the woods, and it's like the woods are this location.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess before we get to my favorite part of the whole thing, I mean, just with what we've had so far, I just want to ask you your thoughts. I mean, Donovan and I were kind of talking. Donovan Martin in the comments, I was kind of weighing in on Vader versus Buzz Lightyear, getting the whole who win a fight, Vader versus Buzz Lightyear. So I mean, where do you come down at? You think it was
honestly, Dragon, I hate to say it, but I think the fight would go very similar to this, where Buzz would hold his own for a while, but Vader has the Force on his side, man. You can't outrun the Force. I feel like at the end of the day, Buzz would have to flee to get out of this situation, just like we see in this short.
And I agree with you. That's the thing. I want to make that clear. I agree with you. Like Buzz can defeat Zurg all the live long day, but Vader's a different story. All right, Vader is like he's got the Force. I mean, basically, if it's Buzz versus the guy with the lightsaber, sure. But you're absolutely right, Tiki. It's the determination of that Force that's gonna outdo Buzz. That's the sad fact of it all here, folks. As much as I love Buzz Lightyear, I mean, let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he's outmanned and he's outmanned, he's outclassed on Vader. He's got the terminal will. I mean, it'll get him far, but it'll only get him so far, if you catch my meaning. So, Buzz. So again, Buzz. Again, he held his own. Thankfully, again, I like that. I like that we didn't get mean about it. I love that Vader didn't just like didn't give him the Snoke treatment. Didn't give him a Snoke lightsaber hug, as it were. Didn't like kind of split him at the waist. So we've already seen Buzz Lightyear blown up by the waist, and that was an honor reserved for the opening of Toy Story 2. I don't think I could. I'm glad we didn't go the mean route. Like, and because here's the thing that always bothers me with death battles, Steve. I love that again. Bear in mind, it's in the title, but it's death battles. I mean, like some of these characters wouldn't kill. It's always kind of like Batman wouldn't. That's the thing. Sometimes these characters.
Yeah, well, if it's Ben Affleck Batman.
Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, so. That's the fact of the matter. Like some of these characters, it's a fight to the death, which sometimes it rubs me the wrong way, depending on what the character is. But anyways, the point being, like, I love we don't just like go that way for brutality's sake. It's like we're not like we're not going to like atomize everybody's favorite character. We do something even better with it. So Buzz, he's barely conscious. He's rocketing off this planet onto the Earth, and he crash lands on Earth, and we have this battery reveal. We see Buzz is kind of like he's facing the ground. The back of the compartment is gone. We see like kind of springs and coils, basically the battery compartment of the Buzz Lightyear, with the batteries kind of sprung about, and basically the idea is he'll be okay, folks. Yes, he's a little battered right now, but he'll be. He just needs some batteries put in him. But then things get
He's
wonderful.
Basically like R2 at the end of A New Hope.
Essentially, yeah. He'll be fine. So this to me, this is where the heart of the whole thing is for me. It's like, okay, we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and this is great too. We obscure the location, basically using the same location with the sunset. And they use some real lighting. We use the sunset to kind of obscure things, do silhouettes. And I think that was a beautiful call here. We have this. It's very Western-like for a very good reason. It's very Western-like look to this here. Where basically we have this brilliant, classy choice where. A really nice piano version of a really nice kind of it's like a drawn out version of "You've Got a Friend in Me," played I guess played orchestrally. Well, sorry, played just the arrangement of it, not the song. Just played, and we have Sheriff Woody walking in silhouette. And it's like, again, Buzz Lightyear's one thing, and Woody. Oh my God, we saw Woody in live action.
And Dragon, I think it was a very, very smart choice to not show like the actual face of Woody in live action.
Because, I agree.
Again, that's like one of those things of Toy Story. Like, how the hell would you do that? It's like, would you have like an uncanny valley kind of like plastic shine to his face or what? Buzz Lightyear, it makes a lot more sense, but Woody, it'd be more tricky.
I mean, Woody, when you could
Dragon, I have no idea if this is intentional or not, but to me, I almost kind of read that the blur or the fact that the silhouette almost kind of blurs the line between like it's Woody, but it almost kind of looks like it could be Andy in the cowboy hat. I mean, we know it's Woody because of because of the name on the boot, but you know what I mean? Did you get that vibe at all where it almost kind of like blurs the line between the character and the kid who's playing with the character?
I see your point, but I didn't have that because, again, I know, like, oh, yes, it has to be Woody. It's got to be Woody.
Sure, but
I see that to a point, but again, it basically suggests that Andy would also basically it has to be Andy in that case if it's going to be a cowboy. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I see your point. But also in regards to the whole, like, you're right about the whole. It would have been. You can't quite do Woody in live action, but the workaround for that, if you wanted to, is again if you do like kind of the Western serials of the Woody's Roundup.
Yeah, that's right. That would be a good workaround.
Yep. The only way you can really do that. Again, they both have shows about them.
God.
Which is trippy when you think about it, but awesome.
Yep.
Popular toy of the 90s.
You know that Disneyland did a Woody's Roundup stage show that was entirely in black and white? Like all the sets were in black and white, the costumes were in black and white.
So you're just blowing my mind right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, look up pictures of it. Just look up Woody's Roundup Disneyland.
Oh my God, I'm just having wondrous flashbacks right now. Anyway, I gotta get focused here. Focused. Okay, anyway, so the point is we have the silhouette Sheriff Woody. We hear the Spurs. Just hearing the Spurs, man. Again, that's just alone. It's the fact. I'm gonna geek out here for a moment here. It's the fact that, again, it's the fact that we're taking Woody, but we're bringing him into live action, bringing him into, again, the fact like the Spurs would never quite move or make like kind of the Spurs sound because, again, it's a toy. But you need live action though. cowboy with spurs. It's the little things. It really is.
Sure, sure.
So we have this heartwarming bit where, oh my god, the boot bit kills me, man. That's what gets me. It's like we see like a yellow sleeve, grabbing Buzz's foot, and we reveal Andy written on the bottom, and he raises it against his, but with the Andy written back, with the N written backwards, just as it should be.
Yep.
And what they did beautifully here, Tegan. I can't quite place which movie it's from, but I'm like 90% certain it's from. Well, okay, I'm 70% certain it's from Toy Story 2. Where it's it could be from Toy Story 1, but a part of me thinks it's a line for Toy Story. Anyway, the point being, we pull audio of Tom Hanks as Woody saying, "Well, what do you know?" It's great. That's the great trick of it all. They use the actual audio of Tom Hanks saying, "Oh, well, what do you know?" In one of Woody's lines. That's great. Woody, and basically in silhouette, he puts the batteries back in the compartment there, and we hear the charging sound. I love the charging sound. It's like, yes, he's alive, man, he's alive, and Woody saved him, hooray!
And I like how we like tease up, like, we don't get to see the interaction between Buzz and Woody in live action, but it's something that we really want to see, and it's kind of like that great philosophy of like, leave the audience wanting more, man, and this short does it.
Like, I think what they're probably implying is like maybe we'd see a variation on the first meeting between Buzz and Woody, like local law enforcement. I'm glad you arrived. Like that whole thing. Like, oh, again, but it's in your mind though, because it's not the same situation. The ship's on the other planet. It doesn't matter though. It's in your mind's eye what happens there. You don't need it. Again, it's just like see. Oh yeah, it's glorious. A brilliant one. It was the most brilliant nostalgic move I saw in the whole thing. So that's why I love this. That's the main reason I wanted. Like, oh yeah, if we can talk about another one, we're gonna save the meat and potatoes for closer to the actual day, folks. Big ones for the actual day, but folks, that's one's like the favorite. Like I really wanted to get this one, and we got to it, man. We talked about it.
All right. Yeah. So, final thoughts, Dragon?
Final thoughts for me. This again, it's very bat in the sun. As I say it in the highest form of comic, because those guys do tremendous work and just kind of coming across Nukazuka. They do tremendous work too. And again, I wish they do more work like this. Honestly, they did more. I guess I'm saying like either more Star Wars or more Toy Story. I don't want to just put them in a box because they do other things. I think it's been a while since they've done something quite like this. I haven't really checked that.
That'd be kind of like if you said to Just Giggle It, like, "Hey, Just Giggle It, do more Batman."
Exactly. So I don't want to like. I don't want to just like put them in a box or something. Like, yes, but regardless, like, I don't
Just Giggle It.
I don't know if they've done a recreation like this in a while. Because I think
it's like buying a car. What is this? I don't understand that. That's not an IP.
As I would say, I think the last thing they.
Dragon, you get my point.
I do. I think the last thing they did was like I think it was like Frieza versus Goku. It was it was either Frieza versus Goku or Vegeta versus Goku. Point being, they did something along those lines. I think that's the most recent thing they did, unless I'm screwing up the order. And they did that first before this. Point being, it's been a while since I've seen them do anything of that sort. But again, the point is like these guys do tremendous work. I'd like to see more from them of this caliber. Whatever they do next, just again, I'm saying like they blew me away with this. So this for me, this piece specifically. It hits the old familiar very well. It dazzles on a budget. I think it's prime Star Wars fan filmmaking with the bonus of Buzz Lightyear and the best Buzz Lightyear costume I've seen. It hits me in that nostalgic place, and it's a matchup I never sought out, but I was blown away by. So this is just again this was amazing, and I've been a little obsessed with it since I saw it, and again, just kind of saving it for May the 4th. Again, just kind of getting ready for May the 4th, I suppose. Putting a few in the bank for May the 4th, folks.
Right, yeah, like I said, I feel like this is a really great kind of like callback to like, you don't necessarily need a hugely deep story. You don't need like a bunch of allegory and what does this mean and why are they fighting? What is the V dragon? This is strictly versus, not V. It's like they're fighting because he's evil and he's good. You know what I mean? And that's really all you need. It's a great kind of schoolyard battle. It's got really excellent. It's a really excellent kind of like visual adaptation of Buzz Lightyear Dragon. Like I said, it's like it's not straight like from the Toy Story movies to live action, but it's taking like what a live action Buzz Lightyear ship and all would realistically look like. And I love that. Like I said, it's got kind of like a very Zack Snyder-esque color palette in a good way. It's really fun, and yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's got a great ending that does kind of make you think and brings back kind of the nostalgic feels, brings everything all the way around, and it's just a really good kind of appetizer. Dragon, should we reveal what we're actually doing on May the 4th, or just kind of leave it hanging?
Well, I mean, do you want to tease it up? Just kind of give them a few bit details or what?
I guess, yeah, honestly, I don't remember entirely what it is myself, so I was hoping you could.
All right, so which one we
I'm
tell them
sorry,
then?
it's been a busy week for me. I'm sorry, I have a lot on my plate.
All right, well, folks, look forward to it because we're talking about some. The next thing we're talking about for May the 4th will be basically kind of on the eve, if not on May the 4th itself. Is Darth Vader is basically is this series that was kind of taking the world by storm. I believe it was put out last year. It's called Vader Episode One: Shards of the Past. Phantom's kind of taking the world by storm, and again, based on my love of the Darth Vader comics, and just kind of it feels very akin to that. It's something I can't wait to really, I can't wait to get to, and something I think is definitely going to be warrant talking about. And again, there's a reason we chose it as well. This is definitely a little role for another character who's going to be coming back in Star Wars this year, on the big screen. So there's some stuff to look forward to there. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us, folks. We will see you back here on May the 4th for the main event. And yeah, don't forget, in the immortal words of Luke Skywalker, no one's ever really gone. Oh, don't worry, Jesse, it's okay because no one's ever really gone.